Weird for neighbor Jack Bell to see so many investigators and officers at the house next door. Bell doesn't know his neighbors very well. He says they moved in about 5 months ago.
I believe there's a couple of kids who stay there regularly.
And Bell says as he was leaving the house to run some errands, he saw a dramatic scene playing out.
A lady came out, she was in the front yard waving down a fire truck, and she seemed distraught, and just from some context clues and stuff, I knew it didn't look good. I saw the fire truck come in and rush to the back, and I heard some stuff, and I knew it was not whatever, something bad happened. So
Atlanta police say its officers responded to the call at the home on Memorial Drive at around 2:40 p.m. When they arrived, they located a 4-year-old who had drowned. First responders rushed the child to a local hospital, but there the child succumbed to her injuries. Saturday afternoon, residents saw investigators coming and going from the backyard pool with yellow tape around it. Eric Mock, Fox 5 News.
Thank you, Eric. Now, you guys, once again, the police originally told us that little girl was 4, but it turns out that she was 2 years old. Investigators say their preliminary findings show that the drowning was accidental. Now, in just a little bit, Douglas County plans to honor 2 teens killed in a Sweet 16 party shooting. County officials will place a memorial sign at I-20 and State Route 92 in honor of Samuel Moon. And they'll also be placing another sign at US 78 and Campbellton Street for Ajane Hill. County leaders hope that these signs can serve as both a tribute and also as a call to action to create a safer community. A dedication ceremony will take place at 3:30. Well, new today, you guys, an Atlanta City Councilwoman is introducing new legislation on MARTA's safety protocols. This comes days after MARTA released a new safety.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for streaming with us today on this Monday on what is another jam-packed hour of news here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I'm Tom Haines. We've been watching all afternoon an extraordinary series of events playing out in Washington, D.C. as a caravan of European leaders have filtered into the White House, now meeting together at a table with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to try and get the war in Ukraine ended. This on the heels of a historic summit meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, which happened, as you know, on Friday during this hour. We brought that to you live here on Fox Local. We streamed it live for you. And today at the White House, European leaders are meeting with the president and the president of Ukraine to try to hammer out some sort of peace accord in some way, if you will, to end the war in Ukraine. I believe the leaders are talking. That is President Zelensky. Let's listen in for a couple of minutes.
Ukraine will be happy if you will
both
participate.
want me there, I will be there.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is very important. Yeah, so security guarantees bringing kids back and all our people, not only warriors, first of all warriors and all the civilians, journalists, a lot of people in prison. So we need them back. And guarantees which will work for the years. We spoke about it. And I showed the President a lot of details on the battlefield, on the map. Thank you so much. Thank you for the map, by the way.
Good map.
It was great. Yeah. I'm thinking how to take it back.
We'll get you.
No. I think that we had constructive, specific meeting, and I'm very thankful to all the leaders who are here, and you help a lot, and so we are happy that we have such big unity today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much,
for hosting us.
Mr. President. I think you'll see that President Putin really would like to do something else. I think when we set that up, when we do, I think it's going to be when, not if. I think you're going to see some really positive moves. I know there's over 1,000 prisoners, and I know they're going to release them. Maybe they're going to release them very soon, like immediately, which I think is great. But we're going to set that up today after this meeting. So very good and great remarks. I appreciate it. Mark, as head of NATO, maybe you could say a few words, please.
Yes, I will be very brief. I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock basically with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call. And
all right, this is the meeting of President Trump, European leaders, the NATO Secretary General there speaking right now. All meeting for the common cause of trying to bring the war in Ukraine to an end on the heels of President Trump's meeting with President Vladimir Putin. They're going to meet, decide some guidelines as to how that will happen, and then, as the president said, hope for a trilateral meeting between Zelensky, Putin, and Trump. We, of course, will see whether that happens, and we'll have coverage as the hour continues to unfold. All right, here now with Rob DiRienzo, who's up on the streaming set with me. Rob, there's a case out of Carroll County that has a lot of people paying attention because we're talking about a former Georgia State Trooper who's accused of basically a car accident which resulted in the death of 2 teenagers. It was when he was in his GSP Cruiser, lights not on. He was going, 30 miles above the speed limit. Yeah. He's now the mayor, I believe, of Brookhaven. So he's in a pretty high-profile position. This happened like 10 years ago. So what's the delay in settling this, not only for the trooper who's accused, but for the families of these 2 young victims?
Well, yeah, Tom, this is set to be a really emotional retrial here because, mind you, this trial happened back in 2019, but the judge declared a mistrial at that time because of what they said at the time was the district attorney's office withholding certain information. Now, as you mentioned, the mayor of Brookhaven was back in the courtroom to stand trial for that second-degree vehicular homicide and reckless driving charges. Back in 2015, prosecutors say he hit and killed 17-year-old Kylie Lindsay and 16-year-old Isabella Chinchilla while he was going 90 in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Again, that was in 2015 on Highway 27 near Bremen. Now, at the time, he was a Georgia State Trooper in his patrol car, but did not have any lights or sirens on. Take a listen to the harrowing body camera footage from the scene of that crash.
Man, they pulled right up, making this left turn right there. You didn't see them? I saw them. I went right when I should have went down left because they were making that left.
After that incident, Scott was fired from the Georgia State Patrol, and those charges against him were filed. But back in 2019, as I mentioned, that judge declared a mistrial. This went all the way up to the Georgia Supreme Court, where they ruled that he was eligible to stand a retrial. So that's what's beginning today. So now we're in the stage right now, Tom, of jury selection and going through all of the technicalities before the actual criminal charges or actual criminal trial, rather, can get started.
And what about the families of these 2 young girls? You have the mayor now, the once former GSP trooper who you saw was in that accident in that horrifying video. Yeah. What about the families of these victims and how they're responding to all this and the fact that this is going to see the light of day again?
Well, I mean, for that part, they're relieved that he will be standing trial once again, but ultimately they are pretty discouraged. We've talked to them several times over the last couple of years, including 2 other people, 2 other teens who were in the car at the time but survived, and they are very frustrated with the entire legal process. They accuse the court system of essentially some cronyism here, and they want to see this trial come to fruition, but at the same time, as you mentioned, it's been more than 10 years now. They're somewhat discouraged. I want to give you a listen to what they told us back in 2023. Take a listen.
His job with Georgia State Patrol when he killed the girls. He has a great life to live.
He's not fit to be a mayor. He thinks he's above the law.
I'm just afraid that it's going to take him killing someone else before he stopped.
And Tom, back out to us. I just do want to check the live feed right now. It does look like court is still going on for today. Again, the jury selection process is ongoing. A lot of the times the judges ask us to turn the microphones down for that part to protect the potential jurors' confidentiality. But that could take the next few days. And if he's convicted on all of these charges, Mayor Scott could face up to 30 years in prison.
Wow. Talk about a fall from grace.
Yeah.
Now that he's mayor. A.J. Scott is that trooper's name. We know you'll be watching this trial down in Carroll County. Rob, thanks very much.
Yeah, and I should mention before we go that he is still mayor.
All right.
Yeah.
Rob, thanks. We want to continue our coverage here of the shooting at the CDC. We're now getting information about a memorial service that will happen for fallen officer David Rose. DeKalb County is going to host a public memorial service honoring Officer Rose, and that's going to happen this Friday, August the 22nd at 11 a.m. Remember, in the aftermath of the shooting, of course, all of our focus and attention was on the family of this fallen officer, the father of two who had a wife, 2 kids, another child on the way, and when the community might be able to pay their respects. Well, now we know, and it's going to be this Friday at 11 a.m., and it's going to happen at the First Baptist Church in Atlanta. The address is 4400 North Peachtree Road, and of course, all of this information is going to be on our website, fox5atlanta.com. You know our cameras will also be down there as well. This is going to be live streamed as well through the DeKalb County website. And again, we're going to post the information on where to find that on our website, so it's easy to find. DeKalb County also announcing a public memorial service, which will be open to the public. So if you care to go pay your respects to Officer Rose and his family, you can certainly do that at the First Baptist Church in Atlanta. The DeKalb County CEO, I should mention, Lorraine Cochran Johnson, who was front and center in the hours after the shooting and announcing his death, saying that, quote, "We welcome residents to join us on August the 22nd to honor his service, reflect on his legacy, and stand with his family and our law enforcement community." Of course, Officer Rose giving his life to take down a shooter who was targeting the CDC, as we take a live look at campus right now, where many of the workers who were there that day are beginning to return to work today for the very first time, just a little over a week after this happened. Our Kim Luffler has been covering this shooting really since it happened, Kim. You spoke to witnesses who were there on that fateful day. You're at the CDC. I was driving by there today, Kim. I did see that memorial behind you, so touching in the aftermath of what happened there.
Yeah, and people are still coming to that memorial just outside of CDC campus all throughout the day today. We do know that 4 buildings on campus here will remain closed as repairs are underway following this shooting. But people in the other buildings that did not have damage can come back today, but they are also still given the opportunity to telework if they choose to do so. Now, this all comes after the GBI says Patrick Joseph White fired nearly 200 rounds of the CDC buildings here on August 8th. The GBI says the search warrant at White's house revealed written documentation of his discontent with the COVID-19 vaccine. Officials say there are enhanced security measures on campus here as workers return. Now, following the shooting, the union representing CDC employees says more needs to be done, including more security measures and mental health support. Now, one CDC employee working here on campus today that did not want us to show her face or use her name told us she and many of her colleagues are angry. Now, take a listen to part of our conversation.
Committed to public health, so that's why I just talk for myself, but many colleagues, we are mostly angry and impotent. So main recommendation was remove your stickers from your car, remove your badge when you get out. We used to be, and I continue to be proud to work here, but it's now like, we have to hide it for safety reasons. It's ironic and it's ridiculous.
Have you gotten a feel for how, some of the other buildings, if a lot of people are back, a lot of people are still working from home, if they've had that
Many
option?
people are working from home. Yes, the authorities, they have been very understanding. Many people have different responses, many have different life histories, so trauma works different for different people. So yes, there is a lot of flexibility. Yes, our immediate leadership had been really understanding, and the general talk among employees is that immediate levels of leadership have listened to us. Up above, not so much.
Now, again, CDC employees do have the option to telework, and we're told many employees are continuing to take that option. But we have seen people heading in and out of the building all throughout the day. So certainly still some people back at work here on campus. Tom.
You know, Kim, it's remarkable something that woman just said to you, saying that she used to be able to go around and be so proud to tell people that she worked for the CDC, such a prestigious government agency. Now it's sort of a lightning rod for controversy, taking stickers off her car, not really talking about the fact that she works there. I mean, what a difference some time makes here in you know, going from one sort of frame of reference to another in terms of being an employee at the CDC.
Yeah, and a lot of employees that I've spoken with since this shooting occurred are certainly, you know, a lot more hesitant, a lot more frightened following all of this. And that woman said she wants more to be done to ensure something like this doesn't happen again, from mental health support, you know, to, you know, vaccine, you know, kind of. We know that Patrick Joseph White, the GBI, says that he, you know, thought that the vaccine had made him sick. And so, you know, a lot of CDC employees want, you know, a big communication campaign out there, you know, saying, you know, the benefits of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, a rebranding of sorts, perhaps, as the weeks and months unfold. In my notes, in studying up to talk with you this afternoon, Kim, I read that the damaged buildings behind you, the 4 buildings that were shot at and sustained damage to the windows, they're going to be closed for a while, only essential employees in there?
Yes, that is correct. And right now it's unclear exactly when those will reopen, but just looking at the buildings behind me, first thing that I noticed when I got up today is I'm starting to see some improvements. It's unclear exactly how much repairs have been made, but it does look a little bit different, a little bit more normal. We can still see some bullet holes in some of the windows there, but certainly it appears to be improving from what I saw when I first got on scene.
Yeah, still so hard to believe that this even happened a week ago Friday. Kim Loeffler talking to folks out there for us this afternoon. Kim, thanks so much. Appreciate it. We want to take you back live to Washington, where European leaders, the leader of NATO and the President of the United States, are holding a pretty extraordinary summit of their own this Monday at the White House. We saw them arrive just after noontime today, and they're sitting around a conference table now right out in the open, which is pretty extraordinary on its own. We've heard from President Trump, the French President Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, the Secretary General of NATO, and Volodymyr Zelensky himself, as they try to map out a peace agreement to end the conflict in Ukraine. Want to try to dip in here once again, see if we can listen to the president.
Horrible fighting and to continue. We'll do the best to get it ended. And I believe you have 2 willing parties, and usually that's good news, but 2 willing parties that want to make a deal. And we'll journey together, and we'll go over and we'll see if it can be done. And it's possible it might not be able to be done. On the other hand, it's possible it will. And we're going to save thousands and thousands of lives a week. And so it's something we really have to do. And, or at least we have to give it our best. It's all you can do. You can give it your best, but I think we may have a very good outcome. So I want to thank you all, and the media, I want to thank you. We're going to be staying here for a little while. Then we're going to walk over to the Oval Office, and we're going to have another little discussion about similar matters. And then they're going to go home to their great countries and report. And I'm going to remain here and work, and you're going to go and work. We're all going to be working we may be in a different location, but that's what we know how to do is work. But I want to thank the media. Has been actually very fair, generally speaking, very fair. I think it's important that they're fair because this is a very important subject. We have to get it ended. And so that's all we ask for is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That is President Trump heading a meeting of European leaders, President Zelensky of Ukraine and the Secretary General of NATO, setting the table, if you will, if you'll forgive the analogy, because they're all sitting around a table right now, on some really important meetings that they're going to have there at the White House today to agree on a framework, if you will, on how to end the conflict in Ukraine. The president meeting with Russian president on Friday, and in order to hammer out and perhaps schedule a trilateral meeting with Zelensky and Putin, everybody has to be in agreement as to what a peace accord is going to look like. In some breaking news this afternoon, the president saying that he doesn't want a ceasefire anymore because ceasefires really don't last. He wants a peace agreement, and he wants an end to the conflict. And what that might look like, including what U.S. involvement might look like, is still yet to be determined between the president and his European counterparts. So we'll continue to stay on top of that situation. If the leaders come out and speak again, you're going to hear it first right here as you stream with us on Fox Local. Coming up, Kim Loeffler mentioned something about mental health, and that is on the minds of some folks who want to be sure that a Georgia law that was passed that requires insurers to be responsible the same way that they would if you had a medical condition to seek mental health treatment, pony up and make good on this Georgia law that was passed. We're going to check in with our Chris Rosenthal, who spoke to some folks about that today. And of course, a check of our weather as we begin yet another work week here on Fox Local. Thanks so much for streaming with us this afternoon. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our streaming hour here in the 3 o'clock hour, live in the Fox 5 newsroom. I'm Tom Haynes. Thanks so much for being with us today here on Fox Local. Our radio partners listening to us on 107.9 HD2 FM. Of course, if you're streaming with us on YouTube, throw in your comments there. I'm always looking at it, checking it out, and I'll certainly have you chime in as information and events warrant. We want to talk about the weather now. That's what everybody is thinking about on this Monday, and the heat and the humidity that have been out there. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy working, as always, there in the Fox 5 Storm Center. Jonathan, we had a nice Sunday, 0 rain, plenty of heat. But wondering if this sort of dry pattern is going to roll in through the week.
It's not sustained. We're getting set up for the okie doke. And Tom, in our neighborhood, we happen to live right down the street from each other. We were dry yesterday, but there were some areas, especially to the west of us, that got drenched on Sunday. You were part of that maybe 20% chance that actually verified with some rainfall. And so it ended up with the airport getting about 1/4 of an inch of rainfall for Sunday. Well, the airport gets sprayed today. The chance chances are there, but the chances are pretty low overall. It looks like all the fanfare at this moment. As we turn to Fox 5 Live, Upper Radar is rolling now into Pickens County over the top end of Dawson County there. This is actually Big Mountain here, one of the highest points here in Georgia. Mount Oglethorpe there, about 3,200 feet in the sky where this storm is rolling over there, and it actually was producing some hail. This is Georgia 5 there. Jasper, get ready. There's storms nearing your neck of the woods. In fact, we saw some storms spitting out some small pockets of hail. They were below severe limits, but they were significant as those storms came brushing through the area. They weren't moving too fast, so they were putting down a significant amount of rainfall. As we hop I-75, go over here to Daresville there, you can see between Daresville all the way down to Early there, you have a couple showers that are hanging out in portions of Bartow County. But other than that, things are fairly calm and quiet for your neighbors that are going out towards Lake Allatoona and Cartersville. As you move down here, Tom, I know you're working hard behind the scenes there, but we can hear you live here on the stream. Over Polk County, they're dealing with a few showers there just to the south of Cedartown there. Cedartown likely dealing with some darker clouds hovering overhead. So what else do we have on the board? Well, we got one more cell that we'll check on here near Bowden there. As you make your way down Mount Zion all the way to Bowden, you would see that shower there. Let's zoom in here. Get a couple streets that we can call. Come in here near Jonesville all the way down to, get that road right. Pretty popular highway.
Looks like a pretty heavy shower too.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy cell there. It's closing in on Farmers High. Once again, just kind of between Bowden there and Carrollton. So we'll keep our eyes on that one, but it's not electric. Here at town, things are pretty calm, quiet. We've made it to 92 degrees. We'll probably lift that temperature up at least a degree or two over the next hour, just because we're getting hit with straight sunlight. There are clouds that are billowing, but they're not really giving any rainfall here in town at this moment. So 94 is entirely possible, maybe even 95. I'm going to keep up with that 20% chance for showers and storms of the isolated variety. But you can see here, once again, what the afternoon is serving up is mainly to the north and to the west of I-85. If you're to the south and to the east, that doesn't mean you're not getting anything at all, but your chances are even lower than those of your neighbors up to the north and to the west. So let's run the model here. Your hour-by-hour forecast shows that something wants to happen inside the perimeter as early as 4 o'clock. We'll be tracking that live on the air and on the stream. Either side of I-20, Paulding County in the conversation, along with Carroll County getting more showers there. It's kind of a broken string of storms that continues their push to the west. You can see that's the general motion today, all aided and abetted by a wind that's fairly meager, but it is coming out of the east. So if a wind is coming in out of the east, it's going to push storms from east to west, and that's why we're seeing the trajectory of today's storms not come from Alabama, but going towards Alabama. Still some mount action around 8 o'clock tonight, but you can see here most of the activity is fairly quiet and it goes to sleep. You want to talk about Erin?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Erin and what Erin's doing. Going to at least have a kind of a marginal effect on the mid-Atlantic coast, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, so we can kind of get here. Let's get in the weeds here. We got some pretty solid convective bands. There are multiple bands of storms around what is a very robust and healthy hurricane. Erin, it's a Cat 4 right now, wind sustained at 140 miles an hour. Over the past couple hours, we've had gusts up to 165 miles an hour. It's no longer a Cat 5. It actually went from being a Cat 1 to a Cat 5 in just over 24 hours. That was Friday going all the way into Sunday. That was rapid intensification on steroids. A Cat 4 as it interacted with a bit of land, but once again, we went through this eye wall replacement process. The convective bands around this thing are just so strong. The storm will remain fairly healthy and robust as the waters, especially around this part of the Caribbean, are really, really warm. Not in the Caribbean Sea, but this is the Atlantic where you have a much shallower shelf there. Therefore, the waters warmed up significantly and will remain so as the hurricane continues to stew in that environment. So what do we have? Erin stays offshore, no direct impacts expected. A landfall is not in this storm's future, thankfully. Coastal impacts, well, they will be significant, especially as we get into the Carolinas. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but this has been a historic storm. It's expected to grow in size, so it may spread its wings out. However, I don't think we're looking for an upgrade. At this moment, there are coastal flood watches out in effect as far north as the Chesapeake Bay, going into the Outer Banks. Nags Head may come to mind. That's in Dare County, North Carolina, cross over the Virginia state line down into North Carolina, and this is where a lot of people like to go on vacation. Seeing the pictures of the horses, they're all out there. Go all the way down to Jacksonville, and you're getting closer once you get to the South Carolina state line once you get to Jacksonville, and eventually down to Wilmington. But this area here, an area, once again, a lot of people like to go here during this time of the year just to enjoy some of the sun rays and enjoy the beaches there. The beaches will not be friendly this week. And for the entire United States East Coast, including the part of Georgia that touches the Atlantic, you're under a small craft advisory.
Are we talking midweek effects here from the storm?
Yeah, I'm going to show you this here on the modeling. So
quick,
if we get through Tuesday, it's now a Cat 3. Don't worry about the category, but you can already see those winds are starting to batter the coast, and that's going to kick up your waves. In fact, once we get to the Carolinas, we could see wave heights up to 12 feet. 7 to 12 feet. So there's a conversation about storm surge really from the border belt going all the way up. I would even say to the Chesapeake Bay. Once again, there are parts and points here that kind of stick out a bit, and that's where the concern is. So there have been actually some evacuation. I won't say there are orders, but there are suggestions at this point, because you also have the effects of the tides. There are many rivers that feed out into the Atlantic across the eastern Carolinas, and so the storm gets a bit too close for comfort. So we'll have to watch it. That's really Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for its closest pass along the United States East Coast.
Very quickly, Jonathan, before I let you go, do we get any breezes or wind here midweek from Erin? I mean, a little kick up here and there?
I'm afraid we don't get to participate. We'll look at the modeling as it continues to come out. I just think we're a
nothing
bit
wrong
too
with a little
far
gentle
to the west.
breeze. You know,
Yeah, it's nothing. I would appreciate the fact if tomorrow's forecast, which we'll dig into that on the news at 4, if tomorrow turns out to be drier and Wednesday turns out to be drier than we actually think it is, that will mean that some dry air came on the other side of the storm and actually helped us out in terms of making things not as moist as it could be. But I think the way things are lining up, we're not going to see any impact here. Just not close enough, but not close enough in this case is a really good thing.
All right, great breakdown and analysis of Erin, Jonathan, and our own local weather here. We'll see you in the next hour to talk about it more. We want to talk about a story now that we brought you last week, and that is the horrifying death of a Fulton County woman who was attacked by several dogs. You remember we brought you this story. We spoke to her son outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, who was praying for his mother's recovery, and she sadly passed away last week. There's been some developments. Not only were the accused dogs captured and euthanized, but now the dog's owner is denying culpability, saying he doesn't know what happened. Maybe some coyotes came and attacked the woman, but they weren't his dogs. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is covering this one for us. What is the latest here, Deidre, and the accused man's dogs, and whether or not they were involved in the horrifying death of this woman?
That's right. A lot to unpack here, Tom. We are joining you live from Lakeside Drive. This is where that tragic, horrific attack unfolded on the evening of August 1st. That is when 62-year-old Donna Wynn was walking home from the bank when she was viciously attacked by a pack of dogs. She was left with injuries so horrific that she was in the hospital for over 2 weeks. when she succumbed to those injuries last week on Thursday after fighting for her life in ICU. Now, the individual whose dogs were ultimately identified as the dogs that attacked Miss Nguyen also lives here just down the road. His name is David Evans. Mr. Evans talked to us today, and he insists that his dogs were not responsible. We also talked to several neighbors out here who also say they have interacted with those dogs on several occasions, and they insist that those dogs could not have possibly carried out this attack. Now, when we arrived here earlier today, late this morning, there were several Fulton County police officers and also Fulton County animal control officers on scene. The animal control officers had their equipment out, looking through the brush here, through the woods, as if they might be looking for animals, and also Fulton County police were going door to door, interviewing people who were out here, talking to neighbors, and they also spoke at length to Mr. Evans. Now, they did not talk to us here on scene when we asked them what they were doing out here. They referred us to county officials, and we've reached out to them to see if they could provide some more information. But from talking to the neighbors and talking to Mr. Evans, they tell us that for the first time, and again, Tom, we are trying to confirm this information, they told us for the first time that they have been asked if people living in this area have seen coyotes in the area. And they do tell us that there has been some development, some building of homes in the area behind this neighborhood that has in fact pushed coyotes into this area. And some of the people that I talked to today who don't believe Mr. Evans' dogs committed this act, they believe that in fact wild animals, possibly coyotes, attacked Miss Nguyen, causing her fatal injuries. I did speak with Mr. Evans on camera today, and here's Tom, a bit of what he had to say about that attack.
I raised a bunch of man killers. They wouldn't beat nobody like that. I thought I was going to have a day in court or something, but they never put a court date on there. So they said, well, we'll have them till, till court or something like that. I guess they're trying to please the family.
Now, that interview, Tom, we did this morning when the police officers were initially here out on scene, and when animal control was on scene, when they initially talked to Mr. Evans. So we talked to Mr. Evans, we talked to some neighbors out here, and then we started working on our report. The officers then went and talked to Mr. Evans for a second time and then left the scene. And after they left the scene, Mr. Evans came up to us. He was visibly distraught. He told us, and again, we're working to confirm this information, he told us that the officers told him that they now believe that his dogs did not commit this act, did not cause those fatal injuries. And he was very upset because, of course, as we've reported, 4 of the 5 dogs were euthanized. Again, we have not gotten official confirmation from officials that that is in fact the case, but again, he was visibly distraught after talking to officers and did come out and tell us that that was what he was being told. Now, we also talked to him about his relationship with the victim. He said that they actually both grew up in this area and that he and Miss Nguyen attended high school together. He said she was a very good woman. He considered her his friend, and he said that if he in fact believed that his dogs had committed this crime, that he frankly, in his words, would have killed them himself. Here's what he said.
We've been knowing each other for a long time. She used to live around the lake, and her brother does too. And I've known them for years. If I could have, I would have took their place. I mean, I wouldn't let, if it my dogs, if I knew they were doing it, dog pound wouldn't have to come out here. I took care of them right then.
So a lot of new developments out here today, Tom. Again, still waiting for official word from county officials. Just a horrific case, just everyone's heart outpouring of support and sympathy for Miss Nguyen and her family, everyone here. At the same time, those we talked to today do believe that the wrong dogs were identified and that they in fact did not carry out this horrific act.
That is an extraordinary series of events, Deidre, that we went into the day thinking that it was the neighbor's dog who you spoke to, 3 of them euthanized, and then police come back out and say, no, now we don't believe it was those dogs. Is there any surveillance video or anything else that authorities can use to get to the bottom of this?
And again, Tom, we want to be clear that we have not heard officially officers saying that these dogs did not commit this act. we're being told by the dog's owner that he was told while they were out here after investigating, yes, that they no longer believe that. And again, neighbors are saying that for the first time they're being asked about coyotes, and they believe that due to the extent of the injuries Miss Wen suffered, that a wild animal or wild animals, in fact, committed this act. Now, perhaps it could have been the dogs, but from what we're hearing out here and awaiting official word from county officials, right now it does raise new questions surrounding this attack.
But as you say, no official word from Fulton County officials on who is culpable here, and we'll have to wait for that official word. But excellent reporting there, Deidre, and of course talking to the man who was accused in all of this and his dog. So I guess we'll have to find out what happens when we gather some new information. Deidre Dukes, thanks so much. As we continue here, we have a lot more ahead for you. Some really good news for the owners of a popular bagel shop in Forsyth County. Remember back in February, it burned down and they were having all kinds of trouble rebuilding and reopening. Well, the community rallied around the owners of this bagel shop, and we have an update for you this afternoon when we come back. Back now live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I'm Tom Haynes, joined by Tyler Fingert, who's been following a story down in Forsyth County. BB's Bagels, right? A really popular bagel place down there, beloved by the community. You covered the story back in February when the place burned down. The owner's scrambling to try to reopen, not a lot of resources and problems with insurance and coding and all kinds of things. There was like a big campaign, a rally by the community to reopen, and you're back now with some good news.
Yeah, fantastic news. I mean, they've been working to be able to get this bagel shop back up and running for over 6 months. That massive fire tore through and just ruined everything. I mean, we're showing you the video right there.
Wow.
I mean, you can just see just the fierce flames. I remember when we were given this video from one of the viewers just showing us just how fierce those flames were, and it basically tore through the entire building, gutting pretty much everything. But more than 6 months after this tragic fire, their oven is back on and bagels are about to head out to hungry customers. This is the inside of their brand new shop. February 2nd is when this fire happened. This is a day the Sino family will never forget. It's the day their Forsyth County bagel shop of 2 decades caught fire, ruining everything they had worked for. But from the ashes, they're rebuilding Bronx Bagels, better known as BB's, in Alpharetta. Their restaurant has the same name, same food, but now just a different location. Anna Sino and her daughter took us into the new location near Shiloh Road and McFarland Parkway today. The Sinos say their customers will be greeted to changes. This new space is takeout only, but they will have all of the favorites they served up for years. They say their rebirth is in huge part to the great community who donated on GoFundMe, where they raised, get this, Tom, more than $75,000 for their employees and rebuilding efforts. They say while when this fire hit, they were between insurers. The bagel shop has started to make their cream cheeses and all the different flavors of bagels as they prepare for their soft opening on Wednesday, with the grand opening set for Saturday. They've been working for months to reach this moment as they dealt with all of the red tape to get back to business. We talked to the mom and the owner of this, one of the co-owners today, and take a listen to what she told us.
If it taught us anything, it's that we're not ready to retire yet. We're definitely looking forward to getting back to serving everyone who has been so faithful to us, so loyal, and so supportive in so many ways. A new, fresh way of doing business. It's going to be a little difficult for our customers to get used to the new routine because this operation is strictly takeout. We don't have a dine-in option here, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean there won't be one coming nearby soon. We're hoping to be able to do that again so that we can get that more one-on-one with our families and the children that we've watched grow in the 18 years that we were in business there. I'm sure my daughter can agree that we've made a lot of friends along the way.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, 2 decades of being in business, obviously. They have a lot of fans, a lot of people who kept them in business for years. I was looking on Google, and they have like a really high-star review. Obviously, we're not promoting the business just because they're a business.
No, but we want to try some of those bagels.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to be able to try it. I mean, they have all the different type of cream cheeses. When we were there earlier today, they were making like, I think, a chive cream cheese, which apparently looked really good. And then obviously you could see all the different bagels that they had. Interesting note, the only thing that they were able to salvage from this fire was their bagel oven.
Oh, perfect.
So their business completely burned down.
It's stainless steel, it's hard to burn, right?
Yeah, and they were posting updates on their Facebook page throughout the entire 6 months, more than 6 month process, and they were talking about how they were able to remove that oven because obviously something like that is tens of thousands of dollars to replace, but luckily they were able to remove it, get it into this new location, fire it back up, and it still works. So that's the only thing that they were able to salvage. Everything else is going to be brand new at this location, and they're really excited to get back.
Why can't they have people sit there and eat? Is it because of like zoning, or they don't have the space in that particular space?
I think it's the size constraints they're dealing with there. Obviously, their old location being there, covering the initial story back in February, it looked like a big building. It had enough space for tables. This one is just obviously a way smaller operation, but they still want to be able to get back to business and be able to do this. And hopefully at some point, they said when we did the interview that they maybe down the road could see themselves moving into something bigger to get back to exactly what they had for the last 2 decades, 18 years. But for now, they're going to start with this. And it was already a huge effort to be able to get this up and running. I mean, over the last 6 months, I was getting text messages from Anna Sino giving me updates about how long the process has been and how she was dealing with a lot of red tape. Obviously, there are food establishments, so they have to deal with health code. They have to deal with counties the county Forsyth to be able to get the operation back up and running.
So it's like a rebirth of sorts, and it's so cool and unusual, by the way, to see a community rally behind a restaurant like we're seeing here.
And that was the last question I asked her during our interview. I said, you are a family-run business, you're a private business, you are there to make money, and yet people are donating their money for nothing in return. I mean, when you go to a restaurant, you get something. You pay $10, you pay $20, whatever the amount is, and in this case, you'd get bagels from them. But people were donating on GoFundMe, social media, different outlets, and they donated more than $75,000 without anything in return, theoretically.
It's going to be one of those places where there's a huge line on the weekends to get your bagels, I'm sure.
They're going to even have shirts, apparently. She was telling us that on Saturday they're going to give out free shirts to everyone who shows up for the grand opening, but they're really excited for the soft opening on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to be able to see some of the faces they haven't seen since February.
Awesome. Hats off to the family, the bagel shop, BB's. Good to see them back on their feet. Tyler,
Good luck to them.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Stick around. Stay with us. We're back. Welcome back to the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom on this busy Monday afternoon of news here streaming in the 3 p.m. hour on Fox Local. Thanks so much for watching on your mobile device, or if you're at home, or streaming us on YouTube, or listening to us on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM. We certainly appreciate you being with us today as we brought you up to speed on the breaking news happening both here in our own community up in Washington, D.C., as President Trump meets with European leaders to try to broker a peace deal for Ukraine and bring that back to the Russian president with the president of Ukraine, so that the three of them can meet together and try to hammer out a deal to end the war there once and for all. Here in our own community, you know, Georgia passed a law not too long ago that basically told insurance companies that they have to give equal consideration to mental health treatment. That is, if you're seeking mental health counseling, or if you're seeking medical treatment for mental health issues, as they do with medical conditions, traditional medical conditions. There was a rally today to sort of reinforce that law and to showcase patient complaints where they say the law isn't being followed. Our Chris Rosenthal is outside the insurance commissioner's office there. You attended this event today. Tell us a little bit more about it, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier this morning, several dozen advocates for mental health awareness came out here today and dropped off flyers, dropped off notes to the insurance commissioner's office. Now, the insurance commissioner's office on Friday made an announcement that they were fining $20 million worth of fines to insurance companies for various violations regarding the parity law, and that spread across about 20 companies. But mental health advocates here today, while they say they're happy for that, they say it just doesn't go far enough. I talked with Kim Cook from the National Alliance of mental illness, and here's what she had to say. Kim Jones, rather.
We're here to thank the Commissioner of Insurance, Commissioner King, for the work that he has done in enforcing parity and making violations known and finding those who have violated parity laws. But we're also asking him to fully enforce parity. There is more work to be done. There were more parts of House Bill 1013 that were not enforced, such as making his website easily accessible for complaints. And many other things. We know if there were only 6,000 complaints done, but we had only received a handful of complaints, that there's something not working, and that's why the bill required that there was an easy, accessible way for the public to make complaints on his website.
And are you satisfied with the fines?
Well, we know that $1 million to an insurance company is definitely not a lot, although we do think it's a great step forward. We definitely think there is more to be done. And now that as people learn more about what they can require based on the new law of House Bill 1013, we're hoping to see those fines increase and to continue hold these people accountable, hold the insurance companies accountable for enforcing parity here in Georgia.
Do you think these fines don't go far enough?
Not nearly far enough.
How far would be far enough?
Well, it'll be far enough when every Georgian gets the care that they need for mental health, and that includes medical necessity care, which means whatever your doctor says you need for your mental health care is what you should be receiving via your insurance.
And they're just not getting that now, you say?
Absolutely not. We have over 200 complaints just from our members alone at the National Alliance on Mental Illness of Georgia, and we've gotten that in the past few months, where there were only 19 complaints last year, and all of these complaints have happened since July 1st of 2022, when the Georgia Parity Act passed.
And one of the biggest complaints and issues they say they're seeing is mental health deserts. That's areas where it's hard to get access to mental health care. You may have to drive a long way. I have one of those complaints here. Says my daughter experienced a crisis of psychosis. It took 3 weeks to get her proper care. We drove an hour and a half to a facility, and her insurance is not covering her inpatient care, which is draining my retirement fund. That's just, one of the many problems that that this group, wants to see addressed. While they're happy with the measures that John King and the Insurance Commissioner's Office has taken, they want to sit down with him and talk more and see more done.
Yeah, because it's enough when a family has to deal with a mental health crisis, but then navigating the insurance part of that and how to pay for it when you're absolutely desperate for help, getting your loved one or yourself the help you or they need, and knowing that there are laws on the books in our state to help move that process forward, at least as far as your insurance company is concerned.
Absolutely, yeah. This is designed to make it so that these mental health claims would be, treated just like a physical claim, just like a normal physical claim. But they, one of the problems they say is happening is that they're making the definition of medically necessary too narrow.
Yeah, it's important information to get out there, important information to know, and good to hear that our insurance commissioner, John King, is being brought up to speed on some of the issues people are having in filing some of these claims. Chris Rosenthal there at the Insurance Commissioner's Office, who was at that rally today. Chris, thanks. Let's turn back now to our weather once more. We got meteorologist Alex Forbes out in Griffin. Alex, I was talking to my dad about this the other night, the fact that the days are kind of getting shorter, but I wondered when we're going to fall back, so to speak. When in the fall does that happen?
Yeah, Tom, we see two big changes when it comes to fall. First, the days, they get shorter and shorter and shorter, and then daylight saving time comes to an end and makes the problem even worse. We're live here in Griffin in Spalding County. The temperature, I tell you what, it still feels very much like summertime. Today, we've got over 13 hours worth of daylight. The sun rose this morning at 7:03 officially at Hartsfield-Jackson, and it sets at 8:19. But as you alluded to, those days, they're getting shorter. We're losing about 3 to 4 minutes worth of daylight now each afternoon. That means by September 1st, sunrise is going to be at 7:11, so just a couple minutes later. But then sunset at 8:02 with our last 8 o'clock sunset of the year, the week of Labor Day. That means the entire month of September will see 7 o'clock sunsets from there on out. Then by October 1st, how about this? A sunrise at 7:32, sunset at 7:21. We lose almost 50 minutes worth of daylight in the month of September, and then we lose another 50 minutes worth of daylight in the month of October, getting closer to November. On November 1st, sunrise at 7:57. That's a lot of dark bus stops in the morning with sunset at 6:44. So here we go into fall, Tom. You get the shorter days. You get the smell of pencils. Kids headed back to school, high school football. That's just another thing there on the list.
I talking about the other day that there are some lawmakers who want to make the earlier sunset official, like all year round. And
Right.
You were telling me, I said, I want it the other way. I want more daylight longer because it's nice to walk out of work in the afternoon and for it to still be daylight outside. But then you were saying that the sun really wouldn't rise till like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, on Christmas. So that's one of the benefits to daylight saving time when we fall back. You do get the earlier sunsets, but if we were to shift that to later sunsets, you're not making the day longer. You're just shifting the sunrise and sunset time. So right now on Christmas morning in Atlanta, the sun usually rises just before 8 o'clock in that 7 o'clock hour. If we were to stay on daylight saving time permanently in the month of December, that sun in Atlanta on Christmas morning would not rise until almost 9 a.m.
That would kind of be depressing all on its own. But it is interesting, you know, kind of geographically where we live here in the Southeast. We're really close to, I guess, what is the central time zone. Right, Alex?
Right. Yes, that's right. And so we get somewhat of a benefit from that. So for reference, I went to school in Mississippi, in Starkville, Mississippi, which is pretty close to that central eastern time zone line. At least, given our location, we're not like Boston. We are not east in the time zone. Then, because of that, we don't see 4:45 sunsets like I saw in Mississippi when I was going to school there. That was a big adjustment coming from Georgia over to Mississippi, was those 4:45 sunsets. I was used to 5:30, 5:20, but 4:45, that was pushing it for me in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's brutal. I went to school in Massachusetts where it got dark at like 3 in the afternoon in the winter. So I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Alex Forbes, to put it all in perspective for us. Alex, thanks. And thank you for joining us on what has been a busy afternoon of news here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Stay with us. The news continues right here on Fox Local, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Tom Haines. Have a great rest of your day.